So one-step inequalities. So we're still on the same standard, algebra standard, reasoning and equations and inequalities, and solve equations and inequalities. We already solved equations, now we're on inequalities, okay? Also, we're still attending to precision with math practice standard number 6, math practice standard number 7. We're going to continue addressing the area model and such by connecting numbers to squares and so on and so forth. Our objective for today, I can solve and graph one variable inequalities. Let's read it together. 1, 2, 3. I can solve and graph one variable inequality. So we're still on the same concept. That's why we don't need a Freire model, but we already know what they are. One variable inequalities are expressions that are not equal to each other, and they contain one unknown variable. Yes? And we said the most important thing to remember, they have inequality symbols. They are one unknown variable and no exponents greater than 1 because we're not in quadratics or anything else. Our steps, we know that they are simplify, isolate, plot, and check. Are we there so far? Okay. So, properties. Let me address this really quick. Pens down, eyes up here. Now, when we got to equations, check this out. When we got to equations, and I said whenever we add something to each side of the equation, that's called the addition property of equality. Remember that? How about when we subtract something to each side? Subtraction property of equality. How about when we multiply something to each side? Multiplication property of equality. How about when we divided something to each side? Division property of equality. Well, today, since we're starting with one-step inequalities, now the properties are called addition property of equality or subtraction property of inequality. My bad, inequality. Because we're no longer in equations. Is that correct? All right, so check this out. You're still paying attention. Here it goes. For the last homework, I asked for you to write solution set with brackets, right? And you wrote it in words. All real numbers, blah, 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 right? Today, we're going to write it in symbols like this. Everybody look up, please. So, instead of writing words, now we're writing symbols. So what do these mean? So we know that this means this. The set of all numbers x such that x is less than 6. But let me break it down so that you understand the symbols. The brackets are the sets. That's what brackets mean, the set. All numbers x, so that's why I wrote here x at the beginning. Everybody see that? The colon is this, such that. The last part, it's pretty much obvious if you read it, right? X is less than 6. X is less than 6. So all together, all the symbols together should read the set of all numbers x such that x is less than 6. Are we there so far? So now, what is different? That before I asked you to write all real numbers, right? Instead of writing this, it was just all real numbers and you wrote this in words. Okay, so today we're just switching to symbols. All right, so you're just paying attention, please. Today we're going to be looking at inequalities, but let me show you the similarities from one to the other. So watch. Don't these look about the same? Yes. However, I'm going to start with equations. Check this out. For this equation, if I was to solve this, I'm going to go through my steps. Step 1, simplify. Can I simplify this side anymore? No. This side anymore? No. Isolate. I need to leave the variable by itself, so I need to leave this by itself. So what would I do? Subtract 5, so we're left with x equals 7. If I asked it to graph that, therefore 7 is right here, and I plot my point, and I'm done. Are we there? Okay? So, with inequalities, the process is the same. And that's why when we got to equations, when you're like, we have to graph it, that? I'm all yes, because it's going to get you ready to what we're going to do with inequality. So this is where it's going to pay off. So pens down, eyes up here. Here it goes. If the process is the same, I'm going to do the same. Line down the inequality symbol. What do I do here to leave the x by itself? Subtract 5, x is greater than or equal to 7. And do we know how to graph these now? Yes. So check this out. 0, 7. I box my inequality symbol to see if it has an equal sign. Does it have an equal sign? Yes, that's why we plot the point. Notice that it's very similar. Yes. The only thing for inequalities now, inequalities have various answers. That's why for homework I said point to the variable and think, what number can I substitute for x that makes this true? And it says x is greater than 7. So think about it. What number would be greater than 7? So therefore, some of you started thinking 7.1, some of you 23, 7.9, 8, and so on and so forth. So basically all these on this side. Is that correct? So we're clear with this. The only thing we're adding today is a solution set. Check this out. This is how it's written. Solution set, instead of saying all real numbers, what did we say? All x's such that, and then you just write your inequality. X is greater than or equal to 7. Pretty simple? Yeah, right? Questions, comments? Autographs. Okay? All right. So, pick this up. Yeah. Right now, we're not going to look at equations. I was just showing you the similarities. Notice that everything's about the same. Is that correct? Except for here we only have one solution. Here we have infinite number of solutions because it continues on to positive infinity. So with that said, copy this example down, please. Example 1a, write, solve the inequality and graph the solutions, x plus 12 less than 20. X plus 12 less than 20. All right, let's do this one together. Very similar to the one I just did, right? So line down the inequality symbol and go through your steps. Can I simplify anything on each side? No. Can I isolate the variable? Yes. I need to leave the variable by itself. So tell your neighbor what to do, please. Very good. Subtract 12. So then we subtract 12. So this is x less than 8. Hence, if you got that. Okay? At that point, we graph. We know how to graph those, right? Get your number line going. There it is. 0, 8. And remember, I do this because I want to make sure I address whether it's an open point or closed point. So I box my inequality symbol. Does it have an equal sign underneath? No. So this is an open point. There it is. I point to the variable, and you need to ask the same question. What number can I substitute in here that makes this true? Let's see. What number is less than 8? So think of your number. Okay. So as soon as you think of a number, you plot it. I'm going to say 2.3. 2.3. Yeah, 2.3 is less than 8. So I heard some of you say 7. Okay, yes. So therefore, everything to the left. Okay. So what are we missing? What is the last part? The solution set. The set of all, what is the variable? X such that, and what do I write? X is less than 8. Bam. Got it? Very simple? Okay. Question over here? All right, copy this one down. Example 1b. 1b. You don't have to copy the words anymore. You already have these words, so just copy the inequality. Example 1b. d minus 5 greater than negative 7. See if you can do that one by yourself. Go. Okay, let's see. Here goes the process to see if you got this down. I drew my line down the inequality symbol. Here I need to leave the d by itself, so I add 5 to each side. So we got d greater than negative 2. Hence, if you got that, okay. From there we graph it. Negative 2. And here, once again, I box my inequality symbol to see if it's going to be an open point or a closed point. This is an open. So that means it doesn't include negative 2. So therefore, what numbers can I substitute in here for d that makes this true? Let's see. What number is greater than negative 2? And me, I would choose a number 23, Michael Jordan. And if it does make it true, then therefore I know that it's going to be shaded to the right. In my solution set, let's see. Solution set is all variables D such that D is greater than negative 3. Okay? Hands if you got that? Okay, good. All right, copy this next one down, please. There it is, example 1C. 0.9 greater than or equal to n minus 0.3. See if you can get that one by yourself, please. You said 1.2 is greater than or equal to n. That is correct. Hands if you got that. Okay, so let's see. Here goes the process. Plus 0.3 plus 0.3. These cancel. 9 plus 3, that's 12. I got 1. Decimal, bring it down. 1 plus 0 is 1. That's how we get this. And our graph, let's see. 0. Here's 1. Here's 2. 1.2 is about right here. 1.2. Does it include the points? Yes. What numbers can I substitute in here that 1.2 is greater than that number? Somebody said negative 23. Yeah, that's true. If I substitute in here, 1.2 is greater than negative 23. So basically everything to the left. My solution set is, focus please, all numbers n such that n, in this case n is smaller, is that correct? N is less than or equal to 1.2. Okay. What's that? Nope. No, that's why, guys, pay attention to this. That's why I asked you guys not to go with the direction of the arrow. Some of you are still doing what you did last year, and that's why you got it wrong. I'm asking you to ask the question and understand what it says. I said, what number can I substitute in here that 1.2 is greater than that number? What was the number that we chose? Negative 23. If I substitute that in there, is 1.2 greater than negative 23? Yes. But what number is equal to 1.2? 1.2, that's why it's a solid point. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. All right, here we go. Next. Don't copy this, but pay attention, please. All right. So last night and the night before, there were some word problems, but I said pay attention to the keywords. Keywords were no more than means less than or equal to, at least means greater than or equal to. Remember that? All right. So check this out. I'm going to give you a way how to set up, once again, the inequality problems. Here it goes. You're going to get one of these. Check this out. For example, it says, Sammy has a gift card. Okay. She has already used $14 of the gift card. So how much has she used? $14. Okay. And the total value was 30. I'm going to write 30 over here. Who remembers when we did guess and check tables that the total was always to the right? Remember that? All right, so I'm going to write this one over here. So what variable would I use if they're talking about a gift card? G. Okay, so check this out. Stop what you're doing, please. Focus. So it says, write, solve, and graph the inequality to show how much more can she spend. So check this out. Can she spend more than $30? No, so then the word will be no more than. Is that correct? So what symbol is that? Less than or equal to. And do we know how to solve it? Subtract 14, and solve. So check this out. Homework for tonight is found on pages 145 to 146, numbers 1 through 23, all. All right? So on your way out, make sure you turn in your homework from last night, odds and evens, both of them. Good one, guys. Enjoy your homework. See you guys tomorrow.